Dolores Huerta was at the forefront of the Chicano civil rights movement in the U.S. during the 20th century. She worked diligently to improve working conditions for migrant agricultural workers in the California area. One of her most noticeable accomplishments was that of the United Farm Workers Union. Born Dolores Fernandez on April 10, 1930, in the town of Dawson, New Mexico, she was the second child of Juan and Alicia Fernandez. Her father was a farm worker and miner, who later became a union activist and New Mexico State Assemblyman. When her parents divorced at the age of 3, she moved to Stockton, California, with her mother and 2 brothers. Dolores' primary inspiration for becoming a feminist activist was her mother Alicia. Alicia's involvement with the civil organizations and the church in the diverse culture of Stockton, California, proved to be invaluable. She was also a very independent woman and an entrepreneur.
The work that Dolores Huerta would do through the 20th century would eventually get her the Eleanor Roosevelt Human Rights Award in 1998 and the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2012. This is the highest honor that can be bestowed upon a civilian.
One of the early incidents of racism that Dolores encountered was as a schoolgirl when she was accused of cheating because her teacher thought her papers were too well written for minority. Dolores would eventually move on to receive her associate's degree from Stockton College and then going to Pacific's Delta College and earning her provisional teaching credentials. Dolores briefly worked as a schoolteacher, but quickly became distraught and resigned due to the living conditions of the farm workers' children. They were often barefoot and hungry. In the 1950s, she began her journey to end economic injustice. In 1955, Dolores co-founded the Stockton chapter of the Community Service Organization, whose mission was to end segregation, discrimination, and to improve social and economic conditions for farm workers. It was during this time that Dolores Fernandez married Ventura Huerta. Dolores' work with the CSO would bring her to meet Cesar Chavez. Cesar Chavez is a well-known activist whose nonviolent methods included marches, boycotts, and hunger strikes. These were in an effort to bring the plight of farm workers to the forefront. In 1962, Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta resigned from the CSO and created the National Farm Workers Association. The National Farm Workers Association sought to improve migrant farm workers' wages and conditions and empower them. On the left is the National Farm Workers Association flag. The word huelga, translated in English, means strike. Dolores excelled at negotiating and organizing. Her first major accomplishment came in 1963 when, along with securing aid for dependent families, she got disability insurance for the farm workers of California, a feat that at the time was unheard of. On the left, Dolores is seen holding a sign that reads huelga, the Spanish word for strike. On the upper right-hand corner of the sign is the logo for the National Farm Workers Union, the Aztec Eagle. On the right, Dolores can be seen standing next to Robert Kennedy. The most well-known strike that Dolores Huerta was involved in came at the side of Cesar Chavez. In 1965, the now United Farm Workers took on the Coachella Valley grape growers. The strike would not end until 1970. While Chavez organized the strikes and kept things nonviolent, Dolores handled negotiation contracts. Eventually, an agreement was reached with 26 grape growers that improved working conditions, reduced exposure to harmful pesticides, and initiated unemployment and health care benefits. In 1973, Dolores led another grape boycott. This boycott resulted in the California Labor Relations Act of 1975. This allowed farm workers to form unions and bargain for better wages. Here, Dolores can be seen at the signing of the California Agricultural Labor Relations Act of 1975. She would continue her work as a lobbyist to improve workers' legislative representation throughout the 70s and 80s. Additionally, Dolores co-chaired the 1972 California delegation to the Democratic National Convention. She also helped migrant and immigrant children to receive services that they were in need of. In 1993, Dolores Huerta was inducted to the National Women's Hall of Fame for her achievements in humanities. Dolores continues her work as an advocate for the working poor, women, and children. She is founder and president of the Dolores Huerta Foundation and teaches personal power and responsibility to people as a way for them to change their lives for the better. In 2017, the documentary chronicling Dolores Huerta's activism was released. Along with archive footage, the film starred Dolores herself, along with other individuals who have been and continue to be in her life. The film is appropriately titled Dolores. In addition to the aforementioned honors of the Presidential Medal of Freedom Award and the Eleanor Roosevelt Human Rights Award, Dolores Huerta has won several other awards, including, but not limited to, 4 elementary schools in California, 1 elementary school in Fort Worth, Texas, and a high school in Pueblo, Colorado named after her, along with 9 honorary doctorate degrees from different universities throughout the United States. Seen here is Dolores Huerta with her 7 daughters.